Why baseball became America's game. The story of a nation in 9 innings. In the spring of 1862, while the smoke of the Civil War rolled over the fields of Virginia, a group of Union soldiers laid down their rifles, picked up wooden bats, and began tossing a ball in the fading light. The thud of leather, the crack of wood, and the shouts of laughter cut through the chaos of war. One soldier wrote in his diary, "It feels like home again, as if all the country's troubles disappear between those white lines." That scene, simple, fleeting, and human, captures how baseball became something far greater than just a sport. It became a language, a ritual, and finally, America's national pastime. But the story of why and how that happened is a winding one, full of myths, rivalries, and remarkable moments that shaped a nation's identity. The myth of Abner Doubleday. For decades, American school children were told a romantic tale that in 1839, in the quiet town of Cooperstown, New York, a young man named Abner Doubleday invented baseball out of thin air. The story was so perfect, an American hero creating an American game on American soil, that few bothered to question it. But it wasn't true. Doubleday was a real person, a respected Civil War general, but he never claimed to invent baseball. In fact, there's no evidence he even played the game. The real roots of baseball were more complex, born from the collision of European bat and ball games like rounders and cricket, and the restless imagination of 19th century America. So why the lie? Because in the late 1800s, America desperately wanted a myth. The country was growing, industrializing, and searching for something that felt uniquely its own, something not borrowed from England or Europe. Baseball became that symbol, and Cooperstown became its sacred birthplace. The New York game. The truth is, baseball's real father was not Doubleday, but New York City. In the 1840s, local clubs like the Knickerbockers began to formalize rules: 3 strikes, 3 outs, 9 innings. They played on open fields in Hoboken, New Jersey, just across the Hudson River. These gentlemen's clubs were more than athletic societies. They were experiments in democracy and fair play. The Knickerbocker rules created something revolutionary, a game of order and equality, where skill and teamwork mattered more than brute strength. Every man had his turn at bat. Every team had its chance in the field. In a young country struggling to define its values, baseball mirrored the ideals of the American Republic. The Civil War and the Great Spread. The Civil War, terrible as it was, did something unexpected. It spread baseball across the continent. Soldiers from New York introduced the game to troops from Ohio, Illinois, and Georgia. When the war ended, those soldiers took the game home. By the 1870s, baseball diamonds were popping up in nearly every town in America. It was no longer a gentleman's hobby, it was a working man's joy. Immigrants, laborers, and factory workers played after long shifts. Irish, Italian, and Jewish kids found in baseball a way to belong, a way to speak the same language as everyone else. As one historian wrote, before America had highways, it had ball fields. The birth of professionalism. In 1869, the Cincinnati Red Stockings became the first fully professional team. They traveled the country by train, dazzling crowds with their crisp uniforms and unmatched skill. When they went undefeated for 56 straight games, newspapers declared them national heroes. For the first time, baseball wasn't just pastime. It was business, entertainment, and national identity rolled into one. Fans packed wooden bleachers, gambling became rampant, rival leagues formed and folded. The sport reflected both America's ambition and its chaos. By the turn of the century, the National League and the American League merged under one grand structure, the Major Leagues. And standing tall above them all was a man named Babe Ruth. The Babe and the Roaring Twenties. When Babe Ruth stepped up to bat, America listened. He was larger than life, a kid from a Baltimore orphanage who became a symbol of hope during hard times. His home runs didn't just break records, they broke the gloom of the Great Depression. In a country battered by poverty and uncertainty, Ruth's swagger felt like freedom. He didn't play by the rules of the elite, he played for the crowd. Every swing was a promise that no matter how bad things got, America could still dream big and win bigger. That's when baseball stopped being a sport. It became the American story. Breaking barriers. But baseball's journey to being America's game wasn't without its shadows. For decades, black players were barred from the major leagues, forced instead into the segregated Negro leagues, where legends like Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson dominated fields, but not headlines. Then, in 1947, Ratchet Robinson stepped onto Ebbets Field wearing a Brooklyn Dodgers uniform. The boos were deafening. The hatred was real, but Robinson's courage was unshakable. His skill spoke louder than prejudice. When he stole home, America's conscience moved with him. Baseball once again became a mirror, showing both the ugliness of its time and the possibility of change. A game that moved with America. Through the 20th century, baseball evolved with the nation itself. During World War II, women filled the stadiums and even formed the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. During the Civil Rights era, stars like Hank Aaron faced racism with grace and grit, hitting home runs that silenced hate. By the 1980s and 1990s, baseball had become global, drawing players from Japan, the Caribbean, and Latin America. The game that started in open fields of New York now connected the world, yet still felt deeply American. Why baseball endures? Other sports, football, basketball, may dominate headlines now, but baseball still holds America's heart. Why? Because it's slow, because it's patient, because it's timeless. In a world that changes every second, baseball remains deliberate, a rhythm that matches the heartbeat of summer itself. It's fathers and daughters at a dusty field. It's the echo of a crowd rising as the ball arcs toward the stands. It's hope, failure, and redemption, played out 162 times a year. Baseball teaches what America believes about itself, that anyone from anywhere can step up to the plate and take their shot. Epilogue. A nation in 9 innings. From the muddy camps of the Civil War to the glittering lights of modern stadiums, baseball has told America's story inning by inning. It's a tale of struggle, reinvention, and unity. When you watch a pitcher wind up on a summer evening, you're not just watching a sport, you're watching history. Every pitch carries echoes of soldiers in the field, kids in sandlots, and dreamers who believed that fair play and hard work could build a nation. And that's why, more than 2 centuries later, baseball isn't just a game. It's America itself.